get started, oh, it's hard to stop, yeah. Just can't stop it. When you get down, y'all, when you get down, there's no turning back, no.
Everybody party hardy, get right in the groove, yeah. I love the way you do it, the way you do it. I like the way you move, yeah. It's a new thing, you know that you're getting on down, yeah. Everybody, come on, y'all, and get down with me. Yeah, yeah, you can do it like you never done before. Yeah, yeah.
Once you get started, oh, it's hard to stop. Say when you get down, y'all, when you get down, ain't no turning back now that you got down.
Well, yeah, once you get started, you just cannot stop. I just figured we'd dial back the Wayback Machine just a little bit and pick up a great track from Rufus and Chaka Khan. And, and once you get started, you just got to keep it funky here on Solar. Woo! Feel that groove. Well, I want to say hello to each and every one of you, wherever you may be in the whole wide radio world. And you can also be in the whole wide video world because we are streaming live on Ustream for ustream.tv/channel/TDG radio. And we're live on Solar on Sunday because it's part of Keeping It Solar on Sunday. My thanks to my buddy Mike Parlett, the radio doctor who precedes me every Sunday live. We're having a great time. We've got a lot of great music queued up for you coming up in the next couple of hours. Some new music, some flashback tracks. Got a live interview with Scott Allman from the Chicago area coming up at the top of the second hour. And boy, is it going to be a fun, music-packed show today. So stick around, okay? Jeff Lorber, Jimmy Haslip, and Eric Marienthal fusing that on up. Here's Hacienda, title track from the brand new Jeff Lorber CD. Want to say hello out there to Magdalena Kovantsova and Robert Fertile. They're out in Istanbul, Turkey, of all places. you haven't had a chance to listen to the Digital Guy radio show before, you may not know how we do things. So here's your invitation to say hello and connect with us. During the 2 hours that we are live on the show from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific time, we are looking at and posting and responding to our Facebook page, facebook.com/TDG Radio. And that's really about the only page or chat room that I have the bandwidth to monitor. So you are all cordially invited to say hello and post over there. Let me know if you got suggestions or how the reception is, or where you might be listening. I know that Magdalena and Robert are out there listening in Istanbul, and I know we have a bunch of folks in the UK. So as it turns out, at 45 minutes into the show, Dennis Poole will be along with his new music pick this week, and it's a goodie, by the way. At the top of the second hour, we will be having a live interview with Scott Allman, direct from Chicago, and we're going to be just kicking out some fantastic music. After that, after the interview, we do our flashback tracks where we dust off some tracks. And if you want to send me an email to say hello, send it to Bruce at tdgradio.net or Bruce at solarradio.com, because...
Hey, Dave Koss here, and you are listening to my buddy, Bruce Nazarian, the Digital Guy.
Thank you, Dave. Got to tell you, I'm incredibly disappointed based on everything that I've been seeing all over Facebook and the social networks. It would appear that this Dave Koz cruise of the Mediterranean was something absolutely amazing, and I want to send a big shout out to all my friends and musician buddies and fan friends, etc., who are out there and kind of making their way back home, because today is the day that a lot of them are catching flight connections or staying over in Rome for an extra day or so. I know that Jimmy King and Stephanie Sales did not do their live show today, Sunday, because they were still in Rome. But Jimmy and Stephanie are coming to Hollywood for the Lemonade Weekend in March, and we certainly hope that you will too. Check it out online, lemonadeweekend2.com. All kinds of great stuff happening. Nearly 100 artists over 4 days of great music in the heart of Hollywood. Come on down. I was saying a little bit earlier on, we've got a great show planned at the Lemonade Weekend 2.0 coming up next March 27th through 30th in the heart of Hollywood, California. And let me just reel off a couple of the names that are dropping by, okay? We've got Kaylee Minucci, we got Bob Baldwin, we're working on Brian Simpson, Craig Charmat's going to be there, Chris Standring, Darrell Williams, Darren Ron, Eddie Bacchus Jr., Greg Adams and East Bay Soul, D. Lucas, Elon Trotman, Gabriel Mark Hasselbach, my buddy Gary Stanionis and the Elements Band are going to be holding forth Sunday. Greg Manning is going to be there. Greg Karukas is going to be there. Igor Grzina coming all the way from Croatia. Jared coming from the East Coast. Jack Prabilski, Giovanni Collier, Jimmy Reed, JJ San Severino. Oh my God, the list just keeps on going. Lau Tizer, Lynn Roundtree, Michael Parlett, Nathan Mitchell, Patrick Lamb, Patrick Yandel, Paul Brown, Pete Gitlin, Renato Falaschi, Rick Parma, Ricky Lawson, Rob Tardick, Rocco Ventral. How can you possibly stay home when this many artists are coming? Oh, and don't forget Freestyle, by the way. How can you possibly stay home when this many artists are coming to play for you? Plus, there's Tony Exum Jr., Tony Moore, UNAM, Will Donato, the entire lineup of the Groove Messengers. Oh my goodness, I'm exhausted just thinking about it. And there's 4 days worth of events, 13 musical events, including on Sunday when we book Capitol Records Studio A and 20 people can participate. I'm tired. That, of course, is Greg Manning telling us...
The Digital Guy's Funky Corner.
It is time for the Funky Corner, and we mentioned Patrick Yandel. This is his brand new single, My Lady. Patrick's going to be there playing. Patrick's an old buddy. by the way, the official website for the Lemonade Weekend event is lemonadeweekend2.com, but we post all of our most immediate announcements on the Facebook page, facebook.com/lemonadeweekend2. And a couple of days ago, we posted that we were very, very pleased that Andrew New is going to come and play at the Lemonade Weekend, and we're just working out the travel details and stuff. We're very excited. Andrew, of course, is one of fine players coming along next March. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if he plays this, if we can get him a horn section big enough. Everything happens for a reason. Well, we're jamming out here with the sounds of Andrew New, who has just confirmed that he's going to be playing at the Lemonade Weekend. I want to take a special moment here to say thank you to each and every one of the members of Team Lemonade who are helping us administer and plan this gigantic event, because it's certainly nothing that one guy could do. And also a very special thanks to all of our sponsors, our media sponsors, our platinum sponsors, jazzradio.com and solarradio.com. And all of our media, marketing, and record label sponsors. We're indebted to you for helping get the word out. Thank you so very, very much. And we're looking forward to having a whole gang of people coming to Hollywood.
You're listening to TDG Radio, your escape from the ordinary.
Keeping it funky with Rocco Ventrella. This is from his Gimme the Groove CD a couple of years ago that I produced for him. It's called Sensuality. Everybody needs a little sensuality on a Sunday. That is Rocco Ventrella from his Gimme the Groove CD. Rocco is definitely coming all the way back to the United States to perform at the Lemonade Weekend in March. Matter of fact, he's coming all the way to the United States to perform at the NAMM show in January, where he is always in demand, as they say, and I have every reason to believe that Renato Falaschi will be coming right along with him to certainly perform with us. Here's David Wells and Chris Geit, Twice in a Lifetime. That is Chris Geit on keyboards and David Wells on trumpet. A really great duo, individually superb musicians, together a dynamite combo, and that's Twice in a Lifetime from their most recent CD project, which we are trying to get them out to the West Coast here to do some playing, and working on it hard. So keep your fingers crossed. CD's called No Side Effects, and it's definitely worth having in your collection, as are a lot of the CDs that we're playing new music from this week on the Digital Guy radio show. Glad you could join us. Hope you'll stick around for the entire 2 hours of our show, because we got great stuff queued up for you, like this.
Something special from the Digital Guy.
Something special and brand new from Andy Snitzer. New track called Velvet. This is really some superb stuff. Got a great tone, Andy does. little bit earlier this afternoon, if you were listening to the Mike Parlett Show, he mentioned that he's going to be performing this Thursday night at the Westin Bonaventure, downtown L.A., with Josie James, and also special guest Johnny Britt is going to be along. Johnny Britt is actually involved in the production of the next track that we've got queued up from the brand new CD from Jessie J. Called Second Chances. Johnny Britt was with us at the George Duke Show a couple of weeks ago at Spaghettini, and we were incredibly grateful for him to take some time out of his schedule and come on down and play. He's a fine trumpeter, fine writer, fine producer. Well, you're going to hear all that in just a second with the Jessie J track. You're listening to The Digital Guy as we keep it solar on Sunday. If you're listening live on Sunday or whatever day you're listening, I sincerely hope you're having a great time, because we are trying to keep the music funky for you for our entire 2 hours. This is the aforementioned Jessie J track, Second Chances, off the brand new CD from Jessie. I don't know, everybody talks about the cover photo. It's like, me, I like the music inside, you know? Come on. It's just a photograph. Well, yeah. There is that dress. A lot of good stuff on that brand new CD from Jessie J, including that track with Johnny Britt involved with it. Hope you're digging everything that you're hearing today on the Digital Guy Show. We try our very best to live up to our watchword, the best music from around the world and your escape from the ordinary. So we sincerely hope that we're hitting that groove for you today. And don't forget, you can hear us live on Sundays. That's at midnight in the UK or 4 p.m. Pacific time. But you can also hear us rebroadcast about 6 times additional each week.
You're listening to the Digital Guy Radio, the best music from around the world.
And you can find each and every one of our showtimes on our website, tdgradio.net. facebook.com/listen. This is D. Edward, a little thing called There She Goes. Dennis Poole's going to be up in just a little bit with his new music feature for this week, so stick around. It's a good one. Well, they're always good ones.
And there she goes, like dominoes. And there she goes, flying high to the sky. And there she goes, flying high to the sky. And there she goes again. She goes like dominoes. And there she goes, flying high to the sky. And there she goes, flying high to the sky. And there she goes again.
So let me know what you think of some of this new music that we're playing for you. This is a part of our segment that we call Something Special, and it's usually where we wind up putting new tracks that we're featuring for the first time on the show. Not always, but most of the time we do. This is from D. Edward, and it's D.Edward. I call it There She Goes. A little radio edit there for you. Longer version on the CD. You can post on our Facebook page, facebook.com/TDG Radio, or you can send me an email, bruce@tdgradio.net. tdgradio.net is our website, by the way, where all of the shows are posted and where every Tuesday our podcast goes up online, so you can go listen to a show or check out our interviews or download the podcast from iTunes. Just search for The Digital Guy on the iTunes store there, and you'll be able to find exactly what you want just when you want it.
Hi, this is guitarist Dee Brown, and you're listening to Bruce Nazarian, The Digital Guy.
This is Dee's first single off a brand new CD, and he's going to be at the Lemonade Weekend performing. G. Brown there from the city of Detroit. Fine guitarist that he is. Not only will G be performing on our Friday shows, but I believe he is also scheduled to perform as part of our very special Motortown Hollywood Review concert on Saturday night, March the 29th. And we're still waiting to get confirmation. We're certainly hoping that we're going to be in the Dolby Theater, the beautiful Dolby Theater on Hollywood Boulevard. It seats about 3,300 people, and it is one of the best concert halls in the entire Hollywood area as far as I'm concerned. There's a lot of other great places around town, but this one's right in the heart of Hollywood, literally right next to the Chinese Theater.
The Digital Guy New Music Feature with Dennis Poole.
And here we are. This is the time in the show where we recommend a piece of new music suggested by our pal Dennis Poole of smoothjazztherapy.com. And this week, Dennis has gone for an interesting track from guitarist Reza Khan, who was born in Bangladesh and now makes his home in the city of New York. He has recorded with his own band Painted Diaries since 2001 when he released an album of that name. And although one might expect his music to be influenced by his Eastern heritage, it is, in fact, remarkably accessible. This is certainly the case with his latest project, Dreamwalker, and it's a must for those who have a penchant for smooth jazz guitar in the style of Peter White or Ken Navarro, and the easy-on-the-ear title cut is very much the case in point. So without further ado, here is Dennis's pick this week. It is the title cut, Dreamwalker, from the fine guitarist Reza Khan. And Dennis will be back with another pick next week, same time, same place. Well, we certainly hope you enjoyed that pick from Dennis Poole this week. That is something brand new from guitarist Reza Khan, and it's called Dreamwalker, and it certainly captured my ear, that's for sure. Here on the Digital Guy Radio Show, as we keep things moving along, heading towards the top of the second hour, when we will be chatting with Scott Allman. Here's a little bit of The Hot Club, channeling some classic Barry White. Whew, love the groove on this tune. Well, sincerely hope you are digging what you're hearing there. That is The Hot Club with I'm Gonna Love You Just a Little More, Baby, as we head on towards the top of the second hour here on the Digital Guy Radio Show, when we are going to be connecting with Scott Allman and talking about all kinds of fun stuff that he's been doing musically, and playing some tracks from his brand new CD as well. But we got one more track before we get there, and that is from Cindy Bradley. Now, this is a very interesting story about this track. This is an old jazz tune that's been redone with a brand new life to it from the very talented producer Michael Browning, who is going to be part of our producers segment, I should say, on Saturday, March the 29th, hosted by Paul Brown and featuring a whole gang of fine musical producers like Darren Ron and Michael Browning and Kaylee Minucci and Chris Standring, and we're hoping Chuck Loeb will be there as well. We got a great segment for you. Anyway, sit back and groove on this. This will take us to the top of the hour, and we'll be back then with Scott Allman.
You're listening to The Digital Guy, Bruce Nazarian, on Solar Radio. Behind the Music, with The Digital Guy.
And that music is from our very special guest, Scott Allman, who's going to be with us in just about 30 or 45 seconds or so. So hang on while we first fill your ears with Flurry. And you are listening to some great music from the Chicago area keyboardist Scott Allman, who we are very thrilled to have as our very special live guest today. And so let us say, Scott Allman, enter and sign in, please, and say hello.
Hey, Bruce, can you hear me?
I can, as a matter of fact. How about that? Well, at least I could a second ago.
Are you there?
Yes, I am. Are you there, Scott?
Yeah, I've got you, Bruce. I don't know if you can see me.
No, I can't, but I can hear you, and that's what matters, because this is radio, not video.
Well, I'm here. Thank you so much for having me on tonight.
Well, not a problem. Thank you very much for being available. We've certainly been looking forward to chatting with you for a couple of years because we've been following your career since the very first CD. In fact, this was the first single that I believe we ever heard from you, featuring Darren Ron. This is Flurry from your first CD, Generations.
Yes, that's right. And boy, that feels like a long time ago.
Well, it was only a couple of years ago, but, time flies when you're having fun and making great new music and, all caught up with what it takes to get yet another fine CD out the door and into release. Now, if my timing and calendar are correct, I'm thinking you're just almost about to have your CD release party for this, or it's been sneaking out just a little before this.
Yeah, we've just put the record out in its full form. It was sort of finished up in August and early September, and so we are now planning out a few things. I have a CD release event coming up here with Rick O'Dell this month in October, and we're planning a few things after that as well. So it's pretty exciting.
Well, yes, especially when you're getting a great embrace from the contemporary jazz community. And you'll notice I'm also a big fan of the words contemporary jazz for the same reasons you're a fan of the words contemporary jazz, and we can kind of leave it there if you want to.
Yeah, I am a fan of that phrase. I think smooth jazz and other things have some baggage and some connotations that, I don't know, maybe some people just don't associate with anymore, but I am a big fan of contemporary jazz.
Well, as am I, and more importantly than being a fan of that particular title for this particular style of music, I am a gigantic fan of well-done contemporary jazz by very talented and articulate contemporary jazz musicians. And I'd like to think one of the hallmarks of what we do here on the Digital Guy radio show is we filter out the stuff that it really isn't top notch, and we only concentrate on the very best music from all around the world. And at the risk of sounding self-important, congratulations, because you've made our playlist a number of times.
Well, I got to tell you that it is a privilege and an honor. There is so much amazing talent out there. The more I listen to music that is both old and new, it is just humbling every day to hear what people are doing, and to be remotely a part of that is, it's amazing. It's just amazing.
Well, the proof is in the listening, Scott, and I'm going to fill our listeners' ears here with a track also from Generations that I don't know how many people have heard this. It's called Camille's Joy, and I just fell in love with this the first time I heard it on the CD. Let's listen for a little bit, then we'll come right back. There's something very hypnotic about that particular track, Scott. I really fell in love with it the very first time that I heard it. I've been wanting to play it more often than I seem to have the opportunity to, because with only 2 hours every week, we've got to be really judicious in what it is that we play.
You've got some hard choices.
Yeah, it's true, it is. But this one was an easy one because I want people to remember that not only do you have a great brand new CD, but your first CD, Generations, was very well received in the genre. In fact, you got a wonderful write-up from Dennis Poole, who also, in my estimation, is a very discriminating musical person. And, getting a great review out of Dennis is not an easy task if the music's not up to snuff, and yours definitely was.
Well, yeah, I mean, the reception was wonderful. It was warm. The embrace from the whole community globally was something I really never expected. And you're right. I mean, to get accolades from Dennis and other folks that are at his level, it was, again, something not that we were looking for and expecting, and certainly was a boost for that project.
Well, your website is a little devoid of historical background, other than, of course, the opening paragraph, which is completely insane. But I very much enjoyed it because it shows you have a good sense of humor, as we've discussed. But if you can briefly tell our listeners, what is your musical history? How did you get to this point?
Yeah, it's really pretty simple. I mean, I took piano for a couple of years as a young child and then never really followed it intensely. So I'm really sort of self-taught as a young adult and an adult. And I have been listening to and a fan of, again, contemporary jazz, or what we call that, for, 20, almost, I guess, 30 years. I remember back to one of the first projects that the Rippingtons put out, which was the record called Welcome to the St. James Place. Which was once I got my hands on that, this is back in 89, 90, something like that, fell in love with it. And it was just this new sound. It was something that you really never had heard before. Russ Freeman was doing a lot of cool stuff. And I really followed that. That was my introduction to the genre, followed it. All the while I'm growing musically, writing a lot of music on my own. And then, fast forward 15 or so years and things just kind of lined up where the opportunity was right for me to put a record together. And here we are.
And the most exciting thing about this is, and not only are you a fine player and a discriminating producer, the key to this, of course, is having great material, and you are a very interesting writer, because I find your music to be very interesting harmonically and melodically, and challenging. Not hard to listen to, just challenging, because it's like, hey, this is delicious. I really like this. This is unique and different.
Thank you very much. I mean, I work hard at the craft, and for me, things like melody, things like counterpoint, and a lot of layering are very important. I think probably for me, one of the hardest things is really just showing restraint. Sometimes I just don't know when to stop. So that's certainly something I'm hoping to get a little bit better at.
Well, the playback stopped a second ago, and here we're about to cue up something brand new now from the current CD, Next Stop Home, the brand new one. This is called Supersonic. We'll give it a listen and come right back and continue chatting. Our special guest, Scott Allman in the Chicago area, is chatting with us live today on The Digital Guy Show. Now, I don't mean to put you on the spot or anything, Scott, but I've been reading the credits on Next Stop Home, and you have pretty much what we would call a first-class group of collaborators with you. And if you want to take a second and brag on them, by all means, go ahead, because these are great players.
Yeah, absolutely. I have been so fortunate to be able to surround myself with some guys that are just phenomenal and are really just, household names for those who have been following the genre at all. Notably, of course, Darren Ron, who has become a dear friend of mine, has played a lot on the stuff that I've done. He's helped with some production. And I think the world of Darren, both musically and personally, and it's been a joy to kind of be able to collaborate with him a little bit. Other folks that joined me for Next Stop Home, a couple of guys that I've really become to know quite well back here in the Midwest from the Detroit scene, Phil Denny and Lynn Roundtree, who are both, their careers are taking off right now. And it was a pleasure to have those guys kind of come alongside and do a couple of tracks with me. As far as the band, I mean, Chicago is home to so many amazing jazz guys, and there are some deep roots here for the whole genre in terms of folks that have come out of this community, and a lot of them are still here. So folks like Jerry Johnson, Lamar Jones, Kahari Parker, these guys are staples, around the world, and the fact that they're here, it gives me a little bit of access to them. We had a great time putting some of these tracks together, and I tell you, these guys they make it easy. They take ideas and they run with it, and they make me sound a lot better than I am. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? We share a sort of interesting but somewhat distant kind of heritage. You know, I'm from Detroit, and of course you just dropped off a couple of names of a couple of the great new players from the Detroit and Michigan scene, Phil Denny and Lynn Roundtree, and there's a lot of other musicians as well. But what's interesting about Midwestern musicians, we seem to develop this sort of inherent groove factor. And it's interesting how it's slightly different from big city to big city to big city. There's a Cleveland groove, Chicago groove, Detroit groove, LA groove, Memphis groove. You know, it's almost like an accent on a voice, except it's a musical accent in the playing. And when the players are top notch, as these guys are, it's just like you're all talking on the same page, and it's a great thing.
Yeah, I agree. I wholeheartedly. I mean, the Detroit scene, you know, you can hear the little influences there. And in fact, Phil and Lynn, I think, both worked with Nate Harrison on some of the stuff when they were recording tracks for me. And you can even hear a little bit of Nate in there, too. So it's been fun.
That's that Nate is the Grand Blanc scene, but you know we grandfathered him into Detroit because he's in Michigan. So
That's right.
You're close enough for rock and roll or jazz. It's okay.
Yeah, absolutely, and you know, of course, Nate's a great guy, and has been there as well to kind of support this project by helping out some of the guys who worked on it. But you're right. I mean, I think there is a Midwest groove, and I certainly dig it. I think that, you know, at least for partly what I'm trying to do is create a real kind of open sound. The Midwest is just an open place, and that's part of what I think makes it all go round.
Well, we're certainly grooving on the grooves and the melodic choices and the harmonic choices. It all really fits together. And with a great band like you got rockin', you get something like this that we're listening to right now. It's called Road Trippin'. We'll be back with you in just a couple of seconds. Lots of great stuff on this brand new CD from Scott Allman. It's called Next Stop Home. Well, once again, a really wonderful collaboration of harmonics and melodics and sidemen and groove, and it just sort of, you know, it hits on all the cylinders, Scott. This one really works for me.
Hey, man, thank you. You know, coming from you, that's high praise.
Okay.
But I tell you, it was really fun, you know, just kind of putting this all together. I worked, you know, pretty hard off and on for a couple of years, just writing and really digging into the music and trying to pull out the best that we possibly could for all these tracks. And you know, thematically, I think it all came together really well.
Well, this is one of the interesting things that I'm hoping we can accomplish at the Lemonade Weekend when we have our producers panel called Anatomy of a Great Record. So many of the folks who love this music don't really understand how much hard work and dedication goes into making something that they think sounds incredibly simple and just like very natural. But this stuff is hard.
It is, and it's funny you bring that up. I remember there was a point in which we were recording this, and it was a track called Lane's Cove, which is on the new record. And Darren and I were talking about a particular section in it, in the bridge, and he got back to me and said, you know, man, your stuff, it's hard. It's just hard to play. You know, there's a technical quality to it. And, you know, coming from Darren, I'm like, oh, come on, man, get real. But, yeah, I mean, we try and throw down a good tune.
Well, it's, you know, there's a level of sophistication that in terms of your harmonic choices and the melodic choices, you know, when the stuff turns left and goes where you don't expect it to go, that's when it gets musically kind of interesting and your ears perk up.
I agree. And you know what? That's why I love jazz. I mean, jazz is a place where you can do that and have some freedom and have some fun.
Indeed, and when you've got interesting harmonics and melodics on top of a kick and groove, then for me that's like 10 out of 10 points right off the bat.
Yeah, me too. And I mean, that's the kind of stuff that I like to listen to. And I think when you get to a place where you know, the stuff that I enjoy listening to is the stuff that I you know, feel like I'm writing. For me, that's a home run.
Absolutely. And we got about a minute and a half or so left on this tune, and then we're going to cue up like what I believe is your current single, Life Within, from the next stop home. But what I'd like you to do is tell us what's in store for you upcoming in the next, 3, 6, 9, 12 months. What's your career arc from here?
That's a great unknown. I do have some pretty exciting things coming up just in terms of some dates I've got. Here in Chicago, I'll be playing out, like I said, with Rick O'Dell this next month. I've got a show out in Reno in November. I'm lining up a few festival dates next year, excuse me, and we're trying to line up some additional Chicago dates in the first quarter as well. And, this is one of those things where I don't really have necessarily some expectations other than I'm excited to see what's going to happen. I think this record, is obviously it's fresh on the scene now. We're hoping it's going to get a good review and be received pretty well. And who knows that, it's something that if things continue to go well, I'm going to continue to write the best music I can and try and get it out there.
Well, look, that's all that we could possibly want is for you to continue to create at a very high level with the exceptional talent that you have. And, the proof is in the listening. And as we listen to the tracks on the CD, we go, yep, it's Scott. He just keeps kicking out the good stuff, and it's all working.
Thanks, man.
So you and I, when we get done with this, we might have to chat privately about the possibility of getting you to come out to Hollywood one of these days. Maybe there's some lemonade in your future. You never know.
Hey, I like lemonade. It's a fine drink.
Well, listen, the clock on the wall is telling us we got to wrap up, but I'm going to wrap up with this. It's Life Within featuring Darren Ron, and why don't you let everybody know where they can find you on the web, and then we'll give them this beautiful music to take them home with.
Absolutely. Thank you, Bruce. My website is probably the best place. It's scottallmanmusic.com. We do keep that updated and fresh as much as we can. Of course, I'm on Facebook and Twitter as well, Scott Allman Music. And love you to check us out. We love email, we love questions and all that good stuff.
And most of all, we love people that go and support artists that are making great music, and you are definitely one. Thank you, my friend Scott Allman. Good chatting with you today, and we will keep your stuff in the playlist on the Digital Guy Show, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you, Bruce. Been a pleasure, man.
Okay, man. Take care now. Well, what a very great pleasure to be chatting with our special guest this week, Scott Allman, fine keyboardist from the Chicago area. And you've been listening to a track called Life Within featuring Darren Ron. And for those of you who keep track of such things, this is very important. If you have the CD, the magic code for this is DFTM. Not only does it feature Darren Ron, who is the D, but it's Mel Brown on bass, and boy, you certainly can hear it. Scott Allman from the Chicago area from his CD, Next Stop Home. Thank you, Scott. What a great CD. Thanks very much.
The Digital Guy flashback track.
And we're digging into the musical archives and coming up with a classic from Patrice Rushen to kick off our flashback tracks this week. So y'all remember to Forget Me Not. A big hit there for Patrice Rushen from her album Straight from the Heart back in 1982. I guess they call this post-disco. Forget Me Nots. And that poppin' bass that you hear is Ready Freddie Washington. This was a number 2 dance hit and a number 4 R&B hit and a number 23 pop hit record for the very talented Patrice Rushen, who is still active to this day. Gotta love the groove on that. That is for sure. You're listening to the Digital Guy Show as we dust off some classic music for you in our flashback tracks, keeping things going, something that I normally don't play. Here's a little Sade for you, just because it just felt like it was time to play one of her records. Never as good as the first time. I'm here to tell you.
time won't live up to the dream. It's never as good as the first time. Never as good as the first time. Never as good as the first time. Never as good as the first time.
Well, some say that young lady invented a whole new style of music, and I certainly would not contest that one bit. From 1985, from the CD called Promise, or the album called Promise, that is, of course, Sade, with Never As Good As the First Time. We're going to keep the flashback tracks moving right along a little bit with some instrumental wonderfulness from Pieces of a Dream. The title of this tells us exactly what you should be doing. It's called Turning It Up on the Digital Guy Radio Show. very seductive groove there from Pieces of a Dream. A track called Turning It Up. As we keep on with our flashback tracks, that one's from the Love's Silhouette CD back in 2002, so we're certainly keeping with the historical nature of tracks. Here's a little Quincy Jones for you, always a favorite of mine, from The Dude, 1981. Hard to believe it's that long ago. Sounds equally great today. And let's give him a little bit of razzmatazz. Woo!
Reach out for a star and you'll realize, got to put back all the good times that we had. Make it better with a little bit of razzmatazz. If you feel your life's in a rut, just come on out tonight and we'll pull you up. Ain't no use in dragging your feet. 'Cause something's in the air that just can't be beat. Got to put back all the good times that we had. Make it better with a little bit of razzmatazz. Bring out the rise with all those white wall tires. Let's go out cruising like we used to do. Get suited down, let's set the town on fire. Jump out your seat and let the music pull you through. Make it better with a little bit of razzmatazz. Make it better with a little bit of got to put back all the good times that we had. Make it better with a little bit of razzmatazz. Bring out the rise with all those white wall tires. Let's go out cruising like we used to do. Get suited down, let's set the town on fire. Jump out your seat and let the music pull you through. You can lay your soul on the line, 'cause we can make it work if we do it right. Got to spread this message around. The people of the world should be getting down. Got to put back all the good times that we had. Make it better with a little bit of razzmatazz. Make it better with a little bit of razzmatazz. Make it better with a little bit of
Yeah, a little bit of razzmatazz there from Quincy Jones from the Dude album from quite a number of years ago. And that's going to wrap up our flashback tracks, although we've got something queued up here for you from a very good friend of mine who will be part of the Lemonade Weekend. Now, of course, I'm talking about the sophisticated soul singer Sweet Pea Atkinson. And this features the entire Detroit Funk Mafia, including me and Randy Jacobs on guitar. Don't walk away.
Please don't walk away, baby. Please don't walk away.
Wouldn't be surprised if we play this at the Motortown Hollywood Review.
The wrong I've done. Kick me, touch me, slap me, but please don't say we're done. Don't walk away, girl, I'm begging you to stay. If you pull your love out on me, I'll fade away, baby. Please don't walk away, baby. Please, please don't walk away. Please don't walk away, baby. Please, please don't walk away. Oh, baby, I'm only human. Your love is what I seek. The spirit's willing, but the flesh is weak. Shit don't mean nothing to me. I'm in love with you. I tell her to her face, right in front of you, baby. Don't walk away, girl, I'm begging you to stay. If you pull your love out on me, I'll fade away, baby. Please don't walk away, baby. Please, please don't walk away. Oh, please don't walk away, baby. Please, please don't walk away. Give me one more chance. I swear I'll be true. Kick me, cuss me, slap me, but please don't say we're through, baby. Don't walk away, girl. Don't take it away. If you pull your love out on me, I'll fade away, baby. Don't walk away, girl. Don't take it away. I'll make it up to you. I'll do anything you say, baby. Please don't walk away, baby. Please, please don't walk away, girl. Please don't walk away, baby. Please, please don't walk away. Don't walk away, no, no, no. Please don't walk.
Well, if you listen very carefully in the background, you can hear the entire Was Not Was musical and vocal family. That's Carol Hall and Kathy Cousins on vocals, and I'm sure a couple of more in there as well. Sir Harry Bowen, Donald Ray Mitchell, all of these wonderful people, including the fabulous Millie Scott and Detroit legend Pat Lewis, they are all going to be at the Motortown Hollywood Review coming up Saturday, March the 29th. And we got a couple of more tracks queued up for me as well, because not only are we celebrating the music of Detroit using Detroit musicians and Detroit singers, we're inviting a whole gang of our friends along too.
This is Victor Fields. Join me at Lemonade Weekend 2 next March 27th through the 30th in historic Hollywood, California. That's 4 days of great music and over 60 musicians coming together for a great cause. To buy tickets and for more information, visit lemonadeweekend2.com.
It's so good.
That's lemonadeweekend, the number 2.com. Peace.
Thank you, Victor. We're really looking forward to having you on the Motortown Hollywood Review show Saturday night, March 29th. One of the fine, fine voices around in contemporary jazz, or as we like to call him, the voice of the Bay. Victor Fields, this Could Be Paradise. A great tune, originally done by...
Can you hear the birds sing?
Produced by my friend Chuck Love.
A song of love to you and me. Did you see the moonlight? Write our names across the sea. I can feel the wind blow. A kiss from you to me. Did you know just one night could last for all eternity? And I'll bet
you never knew that we could fly. Take my hand, make a wish, close your eyes. This could be paradise for you and I. Two hearts in love forever. Under the starlit skies, we'll spend the night. Take my hand, make a wish, close your eyes. This will be paradise. You can bring a blanket, and baby, I will bring the wine. I will be your lover. Darling, say that you'll be mine. Did you see the stars right? Our names across the sky. If you want to love me, just love me, and don't ask why. And I'll bet you never knew that we could fly. Take my hand, make a wish, close your eyes. This will be paradise for you and I. Two hearts in love forever. Under the starlit sky, we'll spend the night. Take my hand, make a wish, close your eyes. This will be paradise. Mama, mama, yeah. 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 Mama, mama, This could be paradise for you and I. Two hearts in love forever. Under the starlit sky, we'll spend the night. Take my hand, make a wish, close your eyes. This could be paradise. Hey, 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 tonight. Under the starlit sky, we'll spend the night. Take my hand, make a wish, close your eyes. This could be paradise, paradise. Oh, baby. Ooh. All right. Close your eyes, close your eyes. Paradise, paradise, paradise.
Well, originally produced and written by Chuck Loeb for John Lucien. That is Victor Field's perfectly wonderful cover of This Could Be Paradise, one of my all-time favorite tunes from Victor. Very talented vocalist that he is. He will be with us at the Motortown Hollywood Review Saturday night, March 29th,
Listen to the Digital
2014. And you know what? So will Paul Brown. Not only is he doing the producers panel on Saturday afternoon at 2 o'clock and hosting Wine Time from 4 to 6, he's playing Saturday night as well. Man, how can you stay home? Paul Brown there with Angel from a CD from a number of years ago, 24/7 if I remember correctly. Great track, and one of my favorites from Paul from back in the day. Paul, actually the Upfront CD, 2004. And Paul will definitely be at the Lemonade Weekend and holding court with the producers panel, and also playing Saturday night, as will this fantastic artist. This, of course, is Millie Scott from the city of Detroit, and A Love of Your Own.
The sooner you give, the sooner you get to have a love of your own. The longer it takes, the better you come to know a love of your own. Don't you be afraid to give your heart. You never know till you try it. Don't deny it to yourself. And don't you be afraid to walk right on in. The door is standing open. You know I'm always hoping. The sooner you give, the sooner you get to have a love of your own. Yeah, yeah. As far as you go, you're never too far behind a love of your own. Don't you be afraid to shoot the moon. You never know till you try it. Don't deny it to yourself. And don't you be afraid to change your tune. The offer's always open. You know I'm always hoping. Yes, I'm always hoping for a love of my own to shelter me from the cold. Too far behind a love of your own. A love of my own. The truth that will always bear a love of your own. Love of mine, yeah, yeah.
From her second LP on Island Records that I was very proud to produce. That is Millie Scott, one of the wonderful talents from the city of Detroit. They make so many great artists in the city of Detroit, I swear. And, of course, her cover of the Average White Band's A Love of Your Own. I love that track. That's just got a groove that will not quit. And that, of course, is David McMurray on spectacular saxophone. David from Was Not Was and Bob James, and now with Kid Rock. Oh, my goodness. Is it time already? Well, I guess that musical cue that we're listening to tells us that we've run out of time for yet another Digital Guy radio show. So I'm going to take this opportunity on behalf of myself and Dennis Poole and everybody associated with the show to thank you very much for dropping by. No matter what day of the week it is you listen to us, no matter what time of day you're hearing us, no matter what part of the world you're listening, we thank you for coming along on our musical journey. Don't forget, we'd love to hear from you. So please feel free to send us an email. You can reach me at bruce@tdgradio.net. That's TDG for The Digital Guy. Or if you're listening on Solar, you can reach me at bruce@solarradio.com. I'll get them both. You can post on our Facebook page, facebook.com/TDGradio. Or if you happen to see me walking through the neighborhood, just yell out and go, "Yo, like your show." We enjoy very much you being along with us. It's our very great pleasure to bring you what we think is the best music from around the world. And as we say every week, please look after the artists whose music you love. You're all they've got. See ya. By the way, this is Renato Falaschi, and he will be at the Lemonade Weekend, along with Rocco Ventrella.